Hi, everyone. So we would start now. Please confirm you can hear me. I'll just need you to raise up your hand if you can hear me. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So we'll start now. Dayo is here. Can everyone please mute themselves now? Victor Daniel, please mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, so we'll start now. Dayo is here. Thank you for joining the Business Analysis Meetup. And we'll be talking about considering a career in business analysis in Canada, what is entailed in business analysis, how to start your career, the right steps to take, guidance with the process, and all questions will be answered at the end. I'll now introduce Dayo, who is the president of IIBA Nigeria chapter. And Dayo will be giving us more information about business analysis. Keep your questions till the end, and all questions, we'll try our best to answer all questions. So Dayo, take it up from here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eno. Hello, everybody. Like Eno rightly said, my name is Dayo, and I've been on the BA journey for over 10 years. I remember that back then, if I tell people that I'm a BA, there's always this question about, do you work with British Airways? Because it seems nobody knows anything about business analysis. And sadly, even up to now, what we have there about business analysis is not completely correct. So I was so happy when Eno asked me to come and talk about business analysis. And I have a slide there, and it's just a simple one. There's a question I would like to answer. Business analysis, is it for me? Who is it for? Who can play the role of a business analyst? Well, like Eno also said, I initiated the Nigerian chapter. I have seen it grow over a period of time, over 10 years. And it will shock you that even right now, a lot of people are playing the role of a business analyst without even understanding the fact that that is what they are doing. So I'm trying to share my slides with you. I'm working on that right now to share my screen. But the first question I want to ask, also answer, is who needs business analysis? What kind of company needs business analysis? Is it a Fortune 500 company? Is it a Fortune 100 company? Well, the truth is, any organization with goals and objectives needs somebody to play the role of a business analyst in order for them to achieve those goals and objectives. Well, apart from being a business analyst, I also have a farm. And recently, it's shocking to know that I can directly apply the principles in BABOK on my farm. So even a humble farmer, it needs somebody to play the role of a BA. And that brings me to the next question. But how come people are doing it without business analysis? And I'll say that's not right. People are not doing it without business analysis. people are doing it without knowing that what they are doing is business analysis. And that takes me to the next point. And the point is, what kind of background do I need to have to be a business analyst? Do I need to be an IT expert, a programming guru, a Java expert, or machine learning expert to succeed as a business analyst? And thankfully, the answer is no. Anybody can play the role of a business analyst. I love watching cartoon. I remember I watched a cartoon many years ago, and it was titled Ratatouille, and it said anybody can cook. I would also like to borrow that to say anybody from IT, and the bad place is Canada. It has spread across the industry. In HR. Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Dayo, I can't hear you.
Hello, so can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you. Thank you. So as I was saying, I have to back up a little bit to be sure that I didn't leave out anything. I said anybody can play the role of a business analyst, irrespective of their background. Now, there's something I put on the slide, connection between strategy and development, because more and more BAs are playing in the strategy space. I remember somebody once asked me, what is the career path for a business analyst? In fact, there's this argument on Twitter between a product manager and a business analyst. And I said the business analyst actually has a real chance to move on to the C-suite. Talking about C-suite, CFO, CTO, CIO, and even a CEO, because they actually combine strong strength in the strategy space. And there's a clear connection between the right strategy and development. For example, we all know that we do what people call requirement gathering, but what Babok 3 is now calling elicitation and collaboration. And what do we do there? We identify needs, and then we develop the right strategy. And then we can innovate and transform, and then we can achieve development. I was reading a report recently that says that over 89% of business analysts are working on digital transformation. And the report was released by IBA, meaning that more and more business analysts are playing in the strategy space. So the question is, where are we relevant as a business analyst? You need business analysts on projects, you need business analysts on programs, you need business analysts on portfolio, you need business analysts to conduct process improvement and optimization. So as a BA, we play across the spectrum of projects and strategy. Now the question is, how do I become a business analyst? Do I need to get a degree to become a business analyst? And I know, especially for people that are in Canada, the question also is, how do I get the right experience? Can I get hired without the right experience? Now, there's a good news. The good news is, if we take a good look at what we have done in the past, we realize that we must have played a role. We must have played a role. We must have done business analysis tasks without even knowing it. I was checking up something before coming online, and I realized that right now, even in the world, there are less than 20,000 people with business analysis certification. With business analysis certification. And what that means is that one way to play in that space is to get certification. But that brings me to another question. Somebody once asked me that to take CBAP, there's a need for an average of between 4 to 5 years of experience. So how do you go around that? And I say, you don't have to go around that. All you have to do is to look at your prior experience. Even if you're a farmer like me, you can always identify the BA roles that you have played in time past. And that is key, because I remember when I was applying for my CBAP certification, this was 2010, I had issues with documenting my experience. But I remember the roles I've played in IT. I remember the roles I've played in customer, your strict association meeting, especially if you had to engage with stakeholders, especially if you have to do if you have to do stakeholders communication, especially if you help with setting out the solution scope, you have played the role of a business analyst. Another thing is if you have been involved with innovation and transformation. I know it's a big word that we use all around, throw it all around. You know, the big four consulting guys, and you're wondering, can I claim a BA experience in that space? The answer is yes. If you have changed the settings in your room, the chairs in your room, that's transformation. You know, it's as mundane as that. I'm not saying that we're going to use all of these experiences, no. But I want to let you know that some of those things that we overlook actually are BA roles that we've used in time past. Another thing is getting the requirement and solution design right. Recently, I was involved in some building projects, and I realized that even architects are playing the role of business analysts. Then scaling up solutions. Scaling up solutions. For example, you want to make the solution robust so that more people can use it. If you are selling fried beans or fried yam by the road, and you want to scale up that more people can buy, that's scaling up. Now, I'm going this low to let us know that BA roles are not just for the eggheads. BA roles are not for the people that work with consulting. Especially for people that are abroad trying to transition from Nigeria to Canada or to the US. Your ability to bring out your BA roles in what you've done previously and your ability to properly articulate them will go a long way in separating you from the crowd. Now, what are the competency of a business analyst? Well, number one, there's what we call both the technical skills and the soft skills, or some people will call it the soft and the hard skills. So one of the soft skills that you need as a BA is the ability to communicate, ability to interact, domain knowledge. So that means that somebody with background in finance is now playing the role of a business analyst will probably have a better chance with somebody with background in construction that want to get into finance. And I'm saying that to say that find out the areas where you can magnify your strength. If you have been working in a bank, it might be pretty difficult to transition to the business analysis role in construction because of your background. So you're probably looking at business analysis role in finance, business analysis role in investment. These are the things, these are the skills that you expect an average banker to have. I remember somebody shared a story with me about how, with his background in banking, and he was in the oil and gas sector, he was able to transition to working in an oil and gas company. Yes, that's possible, especially if you have domain knowledge and experience in that area. So bankers and people in finance, they stand a good chance because chances are they work across different sectors. Now, another thing that I want us to take a look at is what I call the module description. We're talking about the competence of a business analyst. Apart from your soft skills, what are the things that you need? Well, ability to use BA tools, and there are quite a number of them out there. Does it mean that you have to learn everything? No, but I can drill it down to two. You must understand the tool that is called JIRA, J-I-R-A, and it's even free because different companies have specific tools. They just want to be sure that you have the understanding of the basic tool before they invest in training you whatever tools they are using. And then understanding of design options, development, and solution option selection. Now, pardon me if I'm using our day-to-day examples to explain this. But if you're a woman or a man and you're in time passing there to make a choice about what to buy, then you have experience in solution option selection. Because as a business analyst, one of the key things that we do, there's a knowledge area called solution evaluation, is the ability to properly advise an enterprise and organization about the best solution that will meet their need after the trade-off has been put into consideration. Another thing that we also have here is development and acceptance of project roadmap. So a BA also needs to be, that's part of the hard skill for a business analyst. But there might be tools that will help, but like I said earlier on, understanding the basics will give you a firm foundation for you to be trained in advanced tools. So if you're looking out for a BA job, be apt to highlight the BA tools you have used and how you have used them in time past. Then it will also shock you that sometimes a BA plays the role of a team lead. So ability to properly identify the needed tools and properly select the right team is also one of the hard skills for a business analyst. And then I also have the solution development, implementation, and deployment. Now, I don't have to be an IT guy or a project or a developer to understand solution development. As a business analyst, I must be able to properly highlight the best route for solution development and the best implementation option. There is what we call alternative analysis. So if I want to highlight my strength in this area, I will talk about how I've used alternative analysis to determine the best implementation path and deployment. And then, of course, requirement gathering and analysis. You know, if you're an amebo, you can always leverage on that strength. Don't see amebo, you know, we all know what we call amebo in Nigeria. Somebody that is that poke nose into other people's affairs. Well, if you are somebody like that, you're a potential candidate to gather requirements, because that's basically what we do when we are gathering requirements. So, but beyond requirements gathering is also requirements analysis. And then the last one I would like to talk about is the ability to use innovation tools. Innovation tools. So look at the parts that has been highlighted here. We have what is called planning, innovation, and transformation. Then to getting out the needs via elicitation and collaboration, to life cycle management, and that includes requirement traceability, managing requirements, keeping requirements, which is called requirement repository, and then reusing requirements. There's some requirements that cannot be used once, they can be used over a period of time. And then strategy analysis, where we have our stakeholders mapping and engagement. Now, the truth is, if many of us will take a look at what we have done in time past, we realize that we have, at one point in order in our career, at least done one or two of what I listed here, out of 6. We must have done at least one or two. There was a former student of mine that she's currently working in Canada, and we were speaking on the phone the other day, and she was like, see, all I do right now in my workplace is just to gather requirements. It's just to gather requirements. And she's still a business analyst. So you might not have strength in all the areas I highlighted, but you know what? Magnify your strength or put forward the areas where you have a better chance of succeeding as a business analyst, especially when it requires looking for a job or transitioning into a BA role. Now, what is the immediate to midterm benefit of business analysis? What are the immediate or midterm benefits of business analysis? As a business analyst, you drive development, you align project with corporate goals, you know, reducing dependency on foreign solution and hardware, whatever that means to you, meaning that we can also help develop in-house solution, reducing costs. Business analysis directly touches the bottom line of any organization, reducing waste, increasing chances of project success. So back to the question, how can I become a business analyst? Number one, I would suggest that you get certified. Number two, look at your past experience and properly highlight your BA, the BA roles you played in time past. Now, there are many organizations that deals with business analysis, but the most popular is International Institute of Business Analysis, headquartered in Canada. Like I said earlier on, but I checked recently, and up till now, there are less than 20,000 people with IIBA certification. And there was a study that was done recently that demand for business analysis will increase by 27% by the year 2021. Because one of the key words here is digital transformation or transformation and innovation, and what drives everything is business analysis. So at this point, What are the other expected benefits from business analysis? We facilitate strategic business process improvement, eliminating redundancy, guarantees sustainable research and development, set goals and measure progress, focus on achieving success early on any initiative, reducing overhead. Like I said earlier on, if business analysis is done properly, it will reduce overhead, improving communication both internally and externally, and lastly, enhancing enterprise-wide collaboration. I don't know if there's anybody listening to me that has worked with FRS in Nigeria, but I have seen a huge transformation. The movement from manual collection of tax to automating collection of tax being driven by the in-house BA team. I think at this point, I would like to end the slide because it's just a very short slide. And I'll be very happy to take any question if there's any. Thank you, Eno.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dayo. I really appreciate this. If you have questions, please send your questions in the chat box, and we would read it out to Dayo. I'm yet to see any questions yet. So I see a question here. Is business analysis distinguished from business intelligence? So Dayo, please, can you answer that for us? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. In business analysis, we have what we call perspective. And there are at least 5 perspectives of business analysis. One of them is information technology, IT. We have business intelligence. We have business process management. We have agile. And then we have the enterprise architecture. So if you talk about business intelligence, it's just one perspective of business analysis. Or maybe I should use the right word, like a subset of business analysis. I'm sure some of you might be familiar with the new certification, the analytics certification. That is also another subset of business analysis because BA covers a wide spectrum. I hope that answer is good enough for the guy that asked the question. Over to you, Eno.
The next question, is it better to go for CCBA with 2 years experience?
If you have 2 years experience, and I probably need to ask you, are you talking about your post-graduation experience? If all the experience you've ever had in your life is 2 years, go for CCBA.
So there's another question. Is there a difference between an IT BA and a digital BA? Dayo?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. There's a question.
I don't know. Go on.
Is there a difference between a digital BA and an IT BA?
You know, I've been going on answering that question. Somehow this thing will just unmute, but I will repeat myself. I said
Okay.
IT is not the same thing as digital.
Okay.
An IT business analyst, even though I don't like that term, I prefer to say a business analyst working in the IT space, because a BA is a BA. But a BA working in the IT space is doing slightly different thing from a BA working in the digital space. Now, because a BA working in the IT space deals so much with the solution requirement. So talking about the functional requirement, the non-functional requirement. So for example, you are working on a solution, you are trying to determine the right server to host them, you are trying to determine the right protocol to use, the right framework to use. But somebody helping you with your Instagram marketing can rightly claim to be a digital business analyst, because digital is everything that is digital. So they are not the same thing. Sometimes they intertwine, they interface, but they are two different roles. Over to you, Eno.
Okay, thank you, Dayo. Another question is, does business analysis have similarities to project management?
Well, good question. Let me say this. Let me say this before I answer that question. I also have PMP. They are not the same thing. That at times there's an handshake between the business analyst and the project manager, but they are not the same thing. Before the project manager, there's a BA that work on the post-project cycle or post-project phase. During the project, a BA is there to assist. After the project, there's a BA that will come and do what is called benefit realization, trying to determine whether the solution delivers, the project delivers the solution that we actually need. So they are not the same thing, but most time people play multiple roles. So I've been on a project that I was playing, at some point I played the role of a business analyst, at some point I played the role of a project manager, but there are two different skills and two different professions. Thank you very much.
Okay, somebody is asking how long does it take to get certified? But I believe that's a personal thing. Someone is asking how long does it take to get certified?
Well, it depends, but I would say on an average, you need 2 to 3 months. I've seen somebody that got certified within 6 weeks. I've seen somebody that got certified after 3 years. But on an average, 2 to 3 months, because our assimilation rate differs. The time you have to study also differs. But I want to assume that if you can spare 2 to 3 hours every day, within 2 to 3 months, you should earn your certification. Over to you, Eno.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions here that are relating to Canada. So I'll just take it up. I think
you are in a better position to ask.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take it up from here as regards questions regarding, business analysis in Canada. I've been in banking for 1,000 years.
1,000 years?
No, that's just me. That's just me. But yeah, I've been in banking for 1,000 years. How do I leverage my experience? So okay, I'm just going to share a few slides and then talk about my experience coming from Nigeria, moving to Canada, and practicing business analysis. So my name is Eno, as a lot of you know. I'm a business analyst. I have my CBAP certification. Fun story, I did my BA training with Dayo's Training Institute. So as regards certification and training in Nigeria, yes, Dayo is an endorsed provider. He's president of IIB in Nigeria. So those of you asking about certification in Nigeria, that's not a problem. You have that covered. I got my CBAP in Nigeria. So if you're still in Nigeria, great. I advise you get it now. I do have some certifications in Scrum. I saw a question about Scrum Master. That's great. If you work in the agile space, yeah, do get a Scrum certification. It's highly advised. So I have a few certifications in the Scrum Master, Agile, Scrum Product Owner, Scrum Coach, ITIL, and Six Sigma. So I do have a background in finance and management. My first degree was accounting. I was never IT. I never did any science course apart from biology. So I was never a science student. I had no tech background. So it's fine. Even if you've been in banking for 10 years, you've been in healthcare. I saw a question about being in healthcare. It's fine. Like what Dayo was saying, if you have ever done a project from start to finish, if you have ever had to sit in a meeting where you're doing planning, you're brainstorming about a new initiative, you're improving the business process, you're carrying out BA activities already. You don't need to have a degree in computer science to be a business analyst. So when you see a job description that says the science degree is required, you don't need that. Your experience is all that you need. So I have industry experience in construction, oil and gas, and banking. I currently facilitate the CBAP study group here in the IIBA Calgary chapter. I mentor and coach with HOPS, helping other people succeed. I'm a career coach with Upskill Coach. I'm a mentor with Calgary Regional Immigrant Employment Council. I write business analysis materials for Almanac. I have my own company and I'm the principal consultant, and I work with a team of some other consultants in business analysis and project management. I'm a business analysis course instructor for University of Manitoba, and I work as a business analyst specialist with Celero Solutions, where I specialize in core banking operations. So that's what I do. And we have a support group called Canadian Business Analysts and Project Managers. It's a group on LinkedIn. So if you're interested, you can join our support group. It's a small community we're building. It's a LinkedIn group. So basically, what are the attributes you need to be a business analyst? You don't need to have a tech degree. You don't need to have a computer science degree. You don't need to have worked in an IT company to be a business analyst. Now, you just need to be innovative, be a fast thinker. Can you prioritize? How do you manage your time? Are you a systems thinker? Are you analytical? Do you derive value, in improving business processes? Are you collaborative? Do you have great people skills? All these are attributes of a BA. So you don't have to have a tech degree. So what are the top skills a business analyst needs? Your communication skills. How do you talk to people? Do you have great people skills? When you're eliciting requirements, what techniques are you using? Do you know how to interview people? Do you know how to draw out information from all kinds of stakeholders? Are you creative? Are you analytical? Do you have problem-solving skills? Are you looking for ways to solve problems in your organization? Technical skills. Can you use the tools? Just like Dayo was saying, your basic tools that you use at work, like Jira, like Visio, your modeling and designing skills. If you have to analyze a process, if I ask you, what do you do at work every day? Can you model that process for me? Can you do it using Visio, or Lucid Chart? Can you do that? And those are skills you can always learn. Your interpersonal skills, how you relate to your stakeholders. According to the BABOK, the most of 90% of what you have to do as a BA is communication. You're always communicating with people. So that's the most skill you can leverage. And that's really what I've leveraged so far in my career as a BA, is my communication skills. I've found a way of, managing my stakeholders, engaging them, and making sure that they are highly engaged. And basically, that's really what you need, mostly as a BA, more than the technical skills. Depending on where you work, there are so many tools that you may need to learn, but you don't need to know everything. If you know the basic things, you're fine, just like Dayo said. So how do I kickstart my BA career? Research. A lot of people are coming into the webinar and they're asking questions that they should have researched about. So if you have any questions and you want to understand what business analysis is about, the only website I advise you to go to is www.iiba.org. That's the global body for business analysis. That's where all the requirements for all the BA certifications are listed. Now we have ECBA, CCBA, CBAP, we have IIBA AAC, and we have the CBDA. So based on your work experience, you would know which one of the certifications you're competent enough to take. Get mentorship. I wouldn't be where I am without having great mentors. Dayo is one of my mentors. I have so many mentors. There are people who would guide you in your business analysis process. So it's not just about getting certification. That's great. Getting some training, learning the tools, but you also need someone to mentor you, throughout that process. Join the IIBA. Join a local chapter. Dayo is leading the chapter in Nigeria. The chapter in Nigeria is very vibrant. It's doing great. I'm in Calgary. We have a chapter here, and I cannot say how much I've benefited from, being a member of that chapter and networking with other BAs in that chapter, and even just from volunteering in that chapter. So please, wherever you are, if there's a local chapter, join them. If there's none, start one. Start a local chapter, start a business analysis meetup, start meeting with people. One of my mentors is already trying to start up a chapter in where he lives, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Once you're building a community of business analysts, you're helping your career to grow. So get your training from an endorsed provider, take a certification. Now, let me tell you, for free, if you're moving to Canada or you're in Canada already and you want to be able to actually kickstart your BA career, try get a certification. Now, why I always advise a lot of people that reach out to me is because I've seen hiring managers and I've been in a hiring process. Now, if a job description says we want a business analyst and the requirement is a certification, if 1,000 people apply for that job and only 10 people have the certification, the remaining resumes go into the bin, and we pick the 10 that have the certification. And that's where we now start to drill down and decide to do a phone interview and then do a face-to-face interview. So if you already have your certification, number one, the company doesn't need to train you. Number two, it shows that you're competent. Number three, it shows that you know your onions, that you're able to actually go through that process of being certified by IIBA. In Canada, IIBA is highly, highly recognized. And their certifications are the only recognized certifications for business analysis with most companies. So I would advise you get certified. It just puts you ahead of the game. It puts your resume on the top of the rack. And another thing is you're able to also bargain a higher salary. When you have your certification, you're able to bargain a higher salary. Now, according to the business analysis survey, BAs with the CBAP certification are paid higher, 18% pay raise. That's a lot. A lot of them got promotions after they got their CBAP. There are lots of people, I have people, where I work too, that are trying to get certifications because they've realized that their careers as BAs have been stalled because they haven't gotten any certifications, even though they know the job so well. But there's nothing to show that you're good at what you do, right? So please and please and please try and get it. Learn the tools, learn the technologies. There are lots of ways to learn. There's YouTube, there's Udemy. There's so many ways to learn tools and technologies that BAs use. And these tools are not hard, with constant practice, you get used to them. Join BA groups on LinkedIn, join meetups, network with BAs. It helps you to broaden your knowledge. And then if you're also looking for work, I advise you to sometimes step out of your laptop or computer where you're applying for jobs and meet up with people, talk to people. And then there are websites you can go for BA content, iiba.org, batimes.com, gap.com. There are so many. There are so many websites that you can go to for BA content. And then volunteering. I love volunteering. bridgingthegap.com, sorry. I love volunteering. It's something that I've always been doing. I love paying it forward. Even when I wasn't working as a BA, I was helping other people with their business analysis careers. And today it has helped me so much because when you volunteer, people see it as you as being not just being a good person by doing something without getting paid for it, but you never know who is watching. So whether you're just doing it because you want to get a job, that's fine. A lot of people have gotten jobs through volunteering. I've gotten a lot of referrals and great connections through volunteering. But the most of it is that I've also learned a whole lot from volunteering. So if you can pick up a volunteering initiative, if you can take up an internship, if that's possible. And then the most important thing is continuous improvement. You need to stop learning. Don't stop learning. You need to continue learning anything that you're like. Where I work, I'm still learning every day. I'm still taking certifications, taking trainings, because business analysis is so dynamic that everything can change on you overnight if you're not continuously improving yourself. Now moving from Nigeria to Canada, I didn't have to go back to school. I already had my CBAP, and that was all I needed to go get into my business analysis career here. And all I had to do was leverage my experience from Nigeria. Now I worked in the bank, and that was mostly what I used to get my first banking job. And then where I work now, I provide services to banks. So all you need to do is just leverage on your skills. And like what Dayo had said before, leverage on your past experience. Now I was coaching someone last week. We had a coaching call. So she's worked in a bank, one of the big banks in Nigeria, and she's even worked in other African countries as well. And she was a product manager for retail banking. And she moved to Canada, and she's been a CSR, which is customer service rep, which are the tellers. And we had a coaching call, and I looked at her resume, I looked at her LinkedIn, and I said, why are you a CSR? You were a product manager in Nigeria. She's like, oh, well, I don't have any BA training, or I don't even know, I'm not sure how to start. And I'm like, I'm looking at your resume, and you've carried out so many projects as regards retail banking in your organization. And I told her, tell me about your experience. And as we kept talking, I said, you've done 5 projects across West Africa. Those are $1 million projects, my sister. So why are you working as a CSR? Why are you working as a teller? Sometimes you need to just think about what you've done, have a coaching call with someone, and then you realize, I have so much experience. And then you've gone through process improvement initiatives, you've gone through projects in your bank. And I tell people, don't say because I was in operations or I wasn't. If there was a project and you were involved in that project, leverage on your experience. So even if you've worked in the bank, I hear people say this a lot, I've worked in the bank. You've worked in the bank, it doesn't mean anything. If you look through what you've done, and if you read through the activities a BA carries out, you have done those activities. It's just that you are not thinking as a BA. And that's why I tell people, start reading the BABOK. Even though you're not ready to start the exam, read the BABOK. The BABOK will help you understand what a BA does. When you read articles about the business analysis, or you go for BA meetups, you're talking to business analysts, you understand what BAs do, and you realize, oh, that's what I was doing. And then with this lady, we realized that, she'd managed so many projects, and she told me about, how, she did a lot of QA analysis, requirement analysis, and all. And I'm like, so why haven't you started a business analysis career? She wasn't just sure how to start because she didn't know how to leverage her experience. In fact, after that coaching call, she was so pumped up. She said, you know what, I'm going back, I'm going to rework on my resume. I'm going to start applying for business analysis jobs. I can't believe I've been here for almost 5 years and I've just been, in her words, dulling myself. And that's the truth. Because when we look at, oh, I worked in Nigeria, or I was in the bank, or it doesn't matter. Everybody has carried out the BA activities. There was also someone that, when he moved here, he wasn't so sure if, his work experience would qualify as business analysis because he was in consulting. I think he was in PwC or KPMG, I can't remember. But I said, you were working with stakeholders. I know with the big fours, you have external clients. Now, those are your stakeholders. What did you do? You definitely elicited their requirements and then worked on it and, carried out all these activities. By the time we were done working with his experience, he was like, oh my God, I've always been a BA. So you don't have to have had a title of business analyst ever for you to say, oh, I'm now a business analyst or I want to start. No, you've always been, you just never had that title. So now it's time for you to say, okay, I want to start working as someone who's called a business analyst. Fine, leverage your experience. Go into your resume, dig out the projects you've been involved in and any initiative you've been involved in. Highlight those accomplishments on your resume. And when you go into your interviews, talk about your experience, highlighting, your achievements in initiatives and projects that you've done in your previous organizations. So don't ever feel, oh, because I didn't have that title. No, when you understand what a BA does, it will make more sense to you. And that's why I advise, get some training, start doing some reading. It will just open up your mind. But what I advise people to do is, just don't be a jack of all trades. If you're a BA who's always been, maybe your experience has been in banking, fine. Let your resume highlight all the projects you worked in or initiatives in finance. If you've always been in IT, if they've always been software development projects, fine. Talk about all those software development projects. Let your resume show that I have been doing this. These were my achievements, and you're able to speak to those achievements. Another thing is also speaking like a business analyst. So there's also this coaching client of mine who got a BA interview. We've been doing some BA coaching, and she was asked some questions. But the honest truth is, because she hasn't done any BA training before, she hadn't read the BABOK, she was kind of confused. She was asked if the software was a COT software, which is a commercial off-the-shelf software. She had no clue what that meant, and she was asked some other questions using BA terms, and she was clueless. So if you can develop yourself by reading, getting training and all that, I would say there's nothing that you've ever done in the past that you can't leverage your experience into business analysis. Anybody can be a BA. I've gone through people's resumes that they've done all sorts, even if it was just a sales role. I worked with someone who, one of my former clients, she was a sales development person. So all she did was only sell. But what she was selling was software. She was selling software. And I said, you're a business analyst. By the time we were able to run through her experience, and I asked her some basic questions, and I got her to start reading the BABOK. And when we're doing our coaching calls, she was so shocked. She's like, oh my God, I did this. Oh, is that what it means? Oh yeah, I carried out this. I carried out that as well. I'm like, so you get what I'm saying? You've always been a BA. It's just how you leverage your experience. How do you sell yourself? That's all that matters. And basically, that's all I have to share as regards being a BA in Canada. And BAs are powerful. I love this Power Rangers business analysts. They are powerful people. They are like the backbone of the company. Here in Canada, companies do not joke with the business analysis team because every initiative must go through them. They help the company to save money. They help the company to make money. They help to improve business processes. And when you're in your interview or you're on your resume should highlight these things: how you're saving money, how you're making money for the company, or how you're improving a business process. So if you've been able to do all these things in your experience, you have been a business analyst. So my advice to every one of you is, any of these you can start with, whether it's getting certification or training or starting your research or getting mentorship or joining a chapter. I don't know what stage you're in right now, but wherever or whatever you do, just leverage on it and you'll be fine. So if there's any more questions for Dayo, can you send it in? And we'll take a few more questions before we stop for today. Someone is asking, will there be more webinars in the future? Yes, we'll try to do more webinars. It's not easy to get everybody to come together. This takes a lot of time and planning. Yes, this session is recorded, so it will be available to everyone. Someone says, while transitioning to a BA role, how many years experience can you claim? Having worked in the bank for over 10 years in Nigeria. 10 years. If you worked for 15 years, 15 years. For questions on training, just send an email. There's training in Lagos, or wherever you are would get you the best location for your training. So someone is asking about what are the recognized certifications. All IIBA certifications are recognized internationally, and it doesn't vary from province to province. Someone is asking, Dayo's last name is Awe, AWE. You can connect with him on LinkedIn. Dayo, Dayo. Last name is AWE. Any more questions? Babatunde, you said, is the BABOK enough to pass the certification? Yes, you can read the BABOK, and you can take practice questions, simulation questions with a lot of, there's watermark, there's adaptive. Dayo, did you have anything to say as regards the BABOK exam preparations?
Okay, thank you, Eno. Well, BABOK is good enough to pass, especially if you have the time. But there are also other materials out there. There are practice questions. I always advise people to go for a training, not because you need the money, but it also helps them to prepare well for the exam. You meet up with other fellow BAs preparing for the exam. You can form a study group. You can source for questions together. You can practice questions. And you know they are not just preparing to pass the exam, they're also preparing to assimilate BA terms. You know, like Eno rightly said, a lot of people lose out on job because they don't know the right terms for what they are trying to explain. So if you have the time, yeah, you read BABOK. I always say that you need to read the BABOK at least 3 to 4 times. When I was preparing for my own exam, I read BABOK for about 8 times. So it's good enough to pass the exam. Thank you, Eno.
Okay, I also say read the BABOK 3 times. The exam is based on the BABOK. Dayo, there's a question. Is it beneficial to combine the CBAP and PMP?
Oh, it depends on why you are getting both, but there's nothing that stops you from not combining it. I got my PMP certification 2009. I got my CBAP 2011. So you might not do them at the same time so that you won't get distracted. So if it's needful for you to have both, then get both certification because it shows that you have competency in 2 different fields. Over to you, Eno.
Okay, I would also like to say if you can get the 2 certifications, that's great. Because most times you can wear the role of a BA and you can wear the role of a PM. So, and a lot of companies here in Canada, in fact, in North America, they practice project management according to PMI standards. So, if you can get your PMP certification, that's great. Or just having knowledge of project management according to PMI. So if you can get the 2, that's great. For questions about training, people are asking about training certification. I've sent a message. You can send an email, and they would find training for you. The best kind of training that suits you, whether classroom or online. If you do take training, Dayo provides training, and yes, there's also training support and help with your application. Someone is saying between project management and BA, which one is easier? Dayo, can you answer that, please?
Wow. Really? Let me see. I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are testing different competency. But I just want to let you know that both certifications are not, you need to prepare to hand them. It's not what you can just cram and just go and deliver. Both of them require adequate preparation. So I won't say one is easier compared to the other. Go back to you now.
Okay, I agree that none is easier. So if you're looking for something that is easy, none is easier than the other. And besides, it's not just about getting certification, it's also about the job. How do you deliver on the job? And just like Dayo said, is basically how much value you deliver that would determine, you know, how you grow in your career, whether you're a BA or a PM. Are you going to grow into to a level where you now become a team lead or a manager, and from a manager still manager, or become a vice president, you know, or become a C-suite executive? It depends on you. Someone asked, as someone newly transitioned into BA role, what are the deliverables expected from you when you land your first job? So every job is different, and I wouldn't know what the deliverables will be when you land a job. But the truth is, there was a job description for that role, and then of course, whoever you're reporting to would definitely let you know what you're coming on to do. Some BAs are recruited for a particular project, a particular initiative. Just like Dayo said, some people are just involved in requirement analysis. Some people are involved in process analysis and process improvement. Some people are involved in end-to-end projects from start to finish, you know, and maybe they're just infrastructure projects. Some people are involved in software development projects, fully agile projects. So it totally depends on, you know, what your role is. Some people are so specialized. I've met BAs who are Salesforce BAs, SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics. They are so specialized, and that's all they have to do on the job. So I wouldn't know what the deliverable would be for you when you land your first job. What I do in my role is probably different from what any other BA does in their own role. So I can't say. Looking for more questions. Are you on LinkedIn? Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Eno Eka, Eno, last name Eka. Dayo is on LinkedIn, Dayo Awe. Looking for more questions. So someone said you can read the BABOK to write the exams. What about the PDs you need to gather from trainings? Dayo, please can you answer that?
Okay, there are many ways to get the professional development you need, not just training, but training is one of them, and training is probably the easiest way. You can get PDUs by also attending accredited conferences. So maybe if you are planning to attend the November conference in Texas, maybe you get about 14 PDUs, depending on the sessions that you are involved with. But usually from training, you can get the required PDUs. It varies from 21 if you are going for CCBA to 35 if you are going to CBAP. So yes, you can read the BABOK, but to get the PDUs, you need to attend the training or go to conferences, and then you must also document in the application process. They want to know where did you train or when did you train, and there's a contact number which sometimes they used to verify. Back to you, Eno.
Okay. Dayo, there's a question here. What's your advice for someone with no experience and hasn't worked under anybody? So I want to believe this question means maybe someone who's been self-employed, or maybe someone who has never worked, someone who has never had work experience. I think that's what the question means. Can the person be a BA?
Okay, so let me provide two variants of the answer. If you have no working experience, you're just coming out of the university, you can take the ECBA, Entry Certificate in Business Analysis. Experience requirement is 0, so you don't need any work experience. That's the first variant. The second variant, if you are self-employed, you have experience. So if you are self-employed, document your experiences and then use it to apply for the appropriate certification. I hope that answers the question. Back to you, Eno.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Um, so there's a question. Someone says, so there are a series of questions here. So someone says, my experience in healthcare, my experience is in media, my experience is in industrial chemistry, my experience is in sales and development. Dayo, please, can you answer this question with one answer? Because there are so many questions regarding, my experience or my education is in this and that.
Okay, thank you, Eno. Like I said earlier on, your degree, whether your first degree or second degree, has little bearing on your ability to, or on even on your ability to write the exam, or your ability to be a successful business analyst. Now, if your experience is in media, for example, and you check out your area and realize that there are quite a number of industry and oil and gas, and maybe there's no thriving media industry in that area. Have you ever worked with any stakeholder from the oil and gas industry while working in the media sector? Because there's something that is called cross-selling, upselling, downselling in marketing. And it's also applicable here. Like the example I gave about the guy that was in banking, I can mention the name of the bank, GTB to be specific, and he was giving the oil and gas portfolio. And within a couple of years, he was working as a BA in the oil and gas company because his exposure to that sector helped him to get relevant experience. It all boils down to something, and I actually emphasize that is your ability to articulate what you know and the value you can deliver. So whether it's in media or it's in industrial chemistry or industrial or chemical, whatever, BA role is actually consistent. And that's why I kind of disagree with the guy that said IT business analyst or digital business analyst. Really, a business analyst is a business analyst, but we can play across many sectors. Industry knowledge will be a strong advantage. So if you've been in the bank and you're a business analyst, you have an advantage over somebody that don't work in the bank if you're trying to get a job or work on a project that's to do with finances. So be able to extract, it might not even be a direct experience, like Eno said. If you have worked for clients, you interacted with stakeholders, your ability to highlight them in your resume will go a long way in helping you get a job. Back to you, Eno.
So I believe we've answered all the questions I can read so far. I believe we've answered all the questions. If you have more questions, please. If you have more questions, please send an email, and well, we'll definitely reach out to you. Dayo is available. I'm available. You can reach out on LinkedIn or send an email, and we'll take it up from there. So thank you so much for everybody for joining. I hope this session has been impactful and answered a lot of questions, because I get all those questions all the time. And I thought to bring in an industry expert, someone whose experience is way more than mine and has a lot of international experience as well. And I hope you guys benefited a lot from this webinar. And yeah, so if you have more questions or regard certification training, you want to reach out to Dayo or me, you want to start or transition your career in business analysis in Canada or the US, or you have all those kind of questions, you want to kickstart your career, through any of the action points that I listed, sure, reach out, and then we'll definitely see how we can work that out for you. Also, if you're in Canada, we have a LinkedIn group. It's called Canadian business analysts and project managers. So send your request. I would add you into the group where there we share job opportunities, tips for resume and interviews and all that. So join the community, ask questions and network and keep in touch. Thank you so much, Dayo, and thank you everyone for joining. Hopefully we'll do something again some other time, giving you guys back your night and evening time wherever you are. Take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye. Bye, everyone.